Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now, while recording for today's video, which was actually going to be me going into the end, fighting the Ender Dragon and getting started with Draconic Evolution, I realized that there was one problem with my base as it is, and that is the power. Now yes, I did make this fission reactor, this fissile reactor, fission here, this fission reactor, and it does power and create and spin this turbine, and it does produce a significant amount of power. However, I realized that there's one big issue. Previously I was running a burn rate of 20 millibuckets per tick. However, that was not necessarily something to be, maintained, because right now, as you can see, at a tick rate or burn rate of 4 millibuckets per tick, we are at a steady state with our fissile fuel. That means exactly how much fuel that we are producing, we are burning. If I have this at a higher rate, say 5 or beyond, in terms of the burn rate, this fissile fuel will be depleted rather quickly. Now, so that would mean that there needed to be some halting in when this is actually being, run. Which, unfortunately, when I halted, this induction matrix, unfortunately, would slowly but surely deplete. Especially when we're crafting some of the things that we have to craft. In particular, just now, we're going to be utilizing quite a good bit of energy to craft some of the things that we need for Draconic Evolution. So to prevent something like that from happening, I decided it would probably be best not only to run our fission reactor at that 4 millibuckets, which is a steady state for our fuel, but it would be worthwhile to also produce the last reactor that Mechanism has in store for it, and that is the fission reactor. The fusion reactor. Now I've already crafted the things that we need, but before we do, let's actually go through and see how you craft some of these things. So to make the fusion reactor, the reactor frame, you're going to need quite a good bit of polonium pellets. In particular, you need to make at least 36 fusion reactor frames, which doesn't seem that bad. But then for the fusion reactor ports, you also are going to need, for the ports right here, you're also going to need some additional fusion reactor frames. And similarly, for the fusion reactor controller, you will also need some fusion reactor frames. So with that in mind, it would be a worthwhile investment to have quite a good bit of polonium pellets once you're actually starting to craft this. Now, as I've said, I've already crafted the necessary materials that I needed for this reactor. In total, you're going to need, I have 36 fusion reactor frames, 5 fusion reactor ports, 1 laser focus matrix, 25 pieces of reactor glass, and 1 fusion reactor controller. The only thing that can, necessarily vary in this is the fusion reactor ports. You can get by with, I believe it is 3 reactor ports using the air-cooled version, but I'm going to set up for the water-cooled version. That's why I already have these 5 fusion reactor ports. Real quick, let me just show you how you actually craft this laser focus matrix. And this is exactly the formula, and you get 2 pieces for the laser focus matrix. So let me get started by building this, shall we? So over here is where we're going to start setting this up. So we're going to make basically a plus sign with our reactor glass. So it's going to be 3 by, 3 in the middle. Then we're going to come with the fusion reactor frame, and we're going to place it like so, all the way around. And that completes our first layer. So the second layer is going to be something like this. One thing to note, this is the only way you can build, using this form factor is the only form factor that you can actually build this fusion reactor. The only thing that can vary is the amount of ports and probably the amount of glass, and I'll point those out when we go along. Elsewise, it's a very simple multi-block structure. So now that we have these 4 pieces of glass placed like so, you're going to place 1 fusion frame like that attached to it. and then one on this one right here. So this way you have like a corner, well, fusion reactor frames going out, and one on the corner is completely missing. So again, one here and one here, one there and one there, and lastly there and there. So now is where we're going to introduce the ports and the laser focus matrix. So I'm going to put my laser focus matrix right here, and I'm going to put one fusion port, reactor port right there, and one more right here. Now, these two reactor ports are going to be responsible for adding fuel into our fusion reactor. Now, what is the fuel, you may ask? Well, we're going to be using deuterium and tritium. That's the two fuel, because that combined gives us the DT fuel. But it's not worthwhile to add just the DT fuel. It's better to add the deuterium and the tritium in the separate components right here, and let the fusion reactor burn those, as opposed to just adding only the DT fuel. Now, here is where I'm going to add in the additional ports. So we're going to add one port right here, and this port is going to be responsible for transporting steam out of our fusion reactor. This port here is going to be responsible. Actually, yeah, right. So I changed my mind about what this port is. This port's going to be responsible for bringing water back into our fusion reactor. So steam out this one, water in here, and this is going to be responsible for getting our the power that this possibly generates into our induction matrix. Oh, that. And now let's finish off. Actually, I think I'm gonna have to move this. Oh, let's put that there. Now remember. Right. So now we have basically two pieces of glass on either side of our ports, and on this side here we have our three fusion reactor ports. And we're gonna come here and put one reactor frame like so, around it, like that. So you can kind of see that, you know, it's forming a kind of a circle over there. And now the next, and that completes our third layer. Now the next layer is actually going to be copies of the bottom of the first two layers. So we're going to put one reactor casing, one fusion reactor frame casing, fusion reactor, it's not a casing, right here, around on each side. And then we're going to come with the reactor glass like so. And then for the topmost layer, we just need to come here, so. And then put the reactor frame like that. Oh, where did I miss? Missed something somewhere. Oh no, I know what I mistaken. Was supposed to put the fusion reactor controller on top. That's what I mistakenly put there. So don't make the same mistake that I did, that this fusion reactor controller is actually going to the top, right dead on in the center right there. And that's actually it completed. So now you can actually click on it. It says it's formed, elsewise you wouldn't be able to click into this. You can see the fuel this is the fuel and the injection rates. Currently it's defaulted at 2. But here is actually where you're going to be able to monitor the tritium and the deuterium that's going to be added into this fusion reactor to burn to produce the power. And here you can actually see basically this is the about tab where I was talking about the air-cooled and the water-cooled versions. If you're doing the air-cooled versions, you don't need to have 3 ports in the back there, you just need to have one, and you can put that in the center and replace those other 2 with the reactor glass. That's why I have 2 extra. Okay, so this is the reactor form, which is simple enough. The next thing that we're going to have to work on is actually getting that fuel. we have our thermal evaporation plants. In particular, I have four thermal evaporation plants. Two of them are producing brine, and two of them are taking that brine and producing lithium. That lithium is then transferred either via pipes or wirelessly to our rotary condensators, which are responsible for turning that liquid lithium into a gas. Hence the reason why they are being this pressurized tube here is going to be responsible for extracting that gaseous lithium and bringing it across over here into our solar neutron activators. Now solar neutron activators are going to take that liquid lithium, that gaseous lithium, and convert it into tritium. We take a look down here, you can see that more of the pipes, and it enters from the bottom. That's why there is no additional pipes up there. That tritium is then stored temporarily in these ultimate pressurized tubes. Eventually I'll put a quantum entangler portal right here, so that way I can actually transfer it wirelessly to our fusion reactor down below. As for the deuterium, which is needed for production of the DT fuel our fusion reactor, again, we have some electric pumps set up over here with a filter upgrade attached into each of our pumps. I suggest you attach this before you actually put the pumps or give them any power, and the reason being is if you give them power, it'll actually just start producing water, which, well, let's be real, you don't want water in these pipes at all. I know the I think it's what you're looking at. Mod is telling us that we're looking at water, but inside of each of these pipes is actually heavy water. With that filter upgrade, if we click onto it, you can, well, currently it's empty, but once that pipe over here is filled, it'll actually fill up the heavy water inside of each of these electric pumps. These pumps have full upgrades and so forth, so it makes it quite a bit efficient. That is then pumped all the way over to these electrolytic separators, which have been configured to dump the oxygen but keep the deuterium that it generates from the heavy water that each of them receive. This deuterium is then stored in these pipes temporarily until it reaches, well, this quantum entangler port over here, which, as you can see, we have a very good amount of deuterium accumulated already. So we have to then use this deuterium and the tritium now to produce the last few components of that we need to actually get this thing, to get the fusion reactor working. And that the next thing that we actually have to produce is this hollow here. Now the hollow by itself isn't that difficult to produce. You just need to take some gold dust, inject it into the carbon, inject it, well, in a metallurgic infuser, and you'll actually produce a hollow. Now to get this filled, if I'm not mistaken, you need, what was it? I think it's to get the tritium. Let me switch it back up. Alright, so this, to get the DT fuel that we need to inject into our hollow, you need to get a chemical infuser, which I may actually set up somewhere around here just for a little bit, because we're not actually going to be sending the DT fuel. We just need a little bit to fill our hollow. So once we produce the DT fuel, you can put the hollow in, I believe, this port right here, and it'll actually fill up the hollow with it. That's going to be our next step. And then after that, we'll get into setting up the firing sequence to actually get this thing running. So let's go make this hollow. We open this up. We need some gold dust. Do I have, yeah, we need 4 pieces of gold dust, which I think might be going through our crusher. Yeah, let's just make sure. Alright, so there's our 4 pieces of gold dust. Let's come over here to our infusing factory, and there you go, we got our hollow. Let's also make the chemical infuser. Where is, this is the chemical infuser. So let me just hop back down here. We can take this cable up like so. I'm gonna break that. How am I gonna get the DT fuel up to it? That's a good question. Actually, it might be better to bring this down, so let's break this. Bring it. Actually, yeah, I should put it here. Well, this. If I put this here, I can. Let's hop back up. I can run a pipe down from top right into our chemical infuser, and I can run a pipe here. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Pressurized tube. This would be instantly filled. And let's get... Ooh, yeah, actually, hang on one sec. Let's break this. And go down. Because I kind of would like to walk there. Bring that across. And let's go injection of gases. Take that off. Put the top. Okay. So back up here. Let's repair this floor. So. Let me to fall down here. Let's put that back. And now we just need to get this power. Which, easily enough, I can do... Hang on. I just need to break one block underneath this so I can see what I'm doing. The cable goes there. Up underneath. Let's go. Bring this around. Believe this is here. Did I not put... Oh, I put a pressurized tube there. My bad. Where is the cable? There it is. So with that now, you can produce the DT fuel that we need. But again, we just needed this filled. So we're going to shut this down and stop it from ever operating again. And well, the extra tritium and deuterium that we have in these lines are going to remain. Wait, did I cut back here? We just refill that. Okay, so now we have the hull arm, which we can actually put into our fusion reactor. Now, you might be wondering, why do we have this laser matrix in front? Well, that's exactly how we're going to start this thing up. We need to fire a laser beam into this thing. And, well, that's the last part, and pretty much the last thing that we have to do in today's video. So some time has passed and I've crafted the various items that we actually need in order to get this setup operational. So first thing to note, you don't actually need the laser tractor beam. I know in the last segment I had actually mentioned that, but you don't actually need that. All you need is the laser amplifier and the laser. To get the laser amplifier, it's relatively straightforward. You just need some steel ingots, a basic energy cube, and a piece of diamond. To get the laser, again, straightforward, you need some reinforced alloy, some energy tablets, steel casing, and a diamond. Now, you don't have to craft 8, but I'm going to craft 8 for, you know, basically to hasten the amplifiers. Now, I'm going to be using 2 amplifiers because, well, once we actually go and set them up, you'll see why. So, I'm also going to work with some additional temporary placing blocks that also help with us placing these lasers over here. I also have some universal cables, and that's about it for what you actually need in order to get the laser part set up. Let's go down to our fusion reactor. So the first things, I'm going to place this right here. Let's build out from it a little bit. I'm going to break those 2. And let's get this laser amplifier up like so and so. Next, let's get the lasers. Let's place these blocks here, these temporary blocks there. Let's place 2 lasers like so. They're going to be firing up into this. Now with this temporary block here, I would suggest leaving it here until you actually go and have time to actually access this in the event that you do have any sort of power in this. When you actually have this, access the laser amplifier, I would suggest you put it onto normal. So this way, well, we just saw it broke the block. This way it would not fire any of the laser beams or any of the energy that it has obtained inside of this bar here. That is very important, because if, say, you attached power right now to these two different lasers, it would actually start discharging the beam. So for instance, let me just break these two just to show you what I mean. Let's get the ultimate cables here. Let's connect them so. And let's just put the flux point on top of this. That should give us power, and you can see the lasers are actually starting to fire. Now this laser, you can see it only has 4k FE in it, and this one has 1.6 and climbing MFE. That's because this back laser, remember, we didn't change the redstone triggering, it's redstone ignored right now. This laser is firing into this one right here, and then this one is firing into this laser amplifier right here. Now, if we break this block, you'll see that this one isn't actually firing. That's because we had to have this redstone configuration down below set to normal, which would mean that it would require a redstone for it to fire. Currently, again, we don't have that. We don't have any redstone signals going to this, so it's quite fine. When we are ready to actually, fire this, we can just simply toggle the mode and it will disperse all that energy and fire it into the laser matrix and then into our reactor. But there's a little bit of way and a little bit of things that we need to do in order to get to that. So let's break this for now, and let's get the rest of these lasers set up. So we're going to go up 1, 2, and then come across with our temporary blocks. We're going to place a laser and a laser there, and we're going to come 1, 2, place one laser there, and lastly on this side we're going to go 1, 2, and we're going to place the lasers like so. Now, with that in mind, we can break these off. I'm going to leave that blocking just in case. And let's clear up all of those other temporary blocks. Now let's get these universal cables and bring them right here. Where is my configurator? Let's disconnect this. And let's get the additional universal cables connected up top here. Connect those. Alright, and now in the center we're just going to attach the flux point, and that's going to start charging these things up. So this one is at 26 MFE, and well, this one is going to keep constantly firing off into this one. Now, I already have 2 quantum entangled portals. One we're going to put right here, and on this side we're also going to put another one right there. We're going to come with our mechanical pipes. Actually, wait, let's go and configure this. So we want input, and then input there. This is not a mechanical. We need to come with our pressurized pipe, because those things are gases. We're going to put 1, and we're going to set this, let's say to tritium, and we're going to go into our quantum entangler portal, and I'm just going to configure all sides to out and eject gases on. So this way we have our tritium going off into our fusion reactor, and on the other side we're going to hop on top of our quantum entangler portal, place that, and we're going to go into it, and we're going to set this one to deuterium. Off camera I had actually went ahead and placed the quantum entangler portal for our tritium. That's why it already was there, if anyone was wondering. And let's just set this to output and eject on all sides. So if we can go and check, we can see our deuterium is actually fully installed, well, provided into our actual fusion reactor. Now we just need to set up these ports in the back. So this one here we're going to have as an output, and we're going to have this going up and out to our industrial turbine to provide it with the steam. This port right here, is also going to be an output. That's going to be the output for our power, which I'm actually going to, yeah, I should be able to run it this way. I may have to make some cables, but that should be fine. Alright, so this way the output of power that the casing that this fusion reactor naturally produces will be able to transfer straight to our induction matrix over there. Let's see where this is at. Okay, so this has a ways to go. Alright, so let me see, how much mechanical pipes do I have? Okay, do I have, yes, I have access to it. Let's make a stack of, let's make a stack of these mechanical pipes. Let's actually carry this pressurized tube out. So we can go like so. Gonna break a hole into our wall, and we're gonna attach this pressurized tube there. I can also take this mechanical pipe, break a hole right there, put it there. Okay. So now we should be stuck. We should be able. Oh, over here is where I set the quantum entangle portal for our tritium. Let me see if my mechanical pipes are finished. Yes, they are. Pressurized. We're gonna need more of that. So I'm just gonna do a few. Okay. We have some pressurized and we have some mechanical pipes. Right. Let us engage a hover mode. Actually, no. Detach the hover mode. We're gonna take this. Let's bring it up. Now this is our mechanical pipe. Ooh, I should have switched these two. Okay, I'm gonna go real quick and just switch these two around because I want the gas to come into this turbine valve right here, which would be the steam, and well, the mechanical pipe can come through another. So give me 1 sec while I switch these two around, and I'll be back once that has been accomplished. Okay, so I've switched these two pipes around. So now we have the pressurized tubes right here. So let me get our jetpack onto hover mode now. And we're gonna basically attach this like so. So now we have steam that's actually going to be put in through this way. Check this. You can see there's nothing inside of that right now. So now a mechanical pipe, on the other hand, we're gonna bring this up. I should probably go and shut down this for the time being, just to be safe. Though our turbine should be quite, our fission reactor should be quite fine. Let's bring this up. Nope, not this way. That. Okay. Let's move this. And let us set that to pull. So now, let's me drop back down. Okay. So similar to how we have the boiler set up, whereby it's actually pumping the steam into our turbine. That's exactly why we have our gas pipe, or our tubes basically running into the back here. That is going to be responsible for transferring the steam that's coming out of our fusion reactor. And then this mechanical pipe is actually what's going to be responsible for carrying back that water. I am aware that maybe connecting these two and running it at the same time may result in water lossage, but that's something that we're just going to have to deal with if we want to actually utilize, well, one turbine for all of this. Okay, I do believe I have a black hole tank that is filled to the brim with water. Here it is, 55. Yeah, an advanced black hole tank. So let me go up. Actually, no, we don't have to put this up top. We just need to have this down here now. We need to basically fill this. What are you at? Yeah, we're getting there slowly but surely. So, here it is. So let me attach one last mechanical pipe here. Like so. And then we're going to attach that there. Let's get a configurator back in hotbar. And that's going to start pulling those things in. Let's check this. If we check, there we go. We have this entire thing filled up. We can actually break this now because we don't necessarily need it so much. So this entire water line is pretty much filled. Okay. So we are actually more or less ready to turn this on. Let's take a look at the power that we actually have right now. Oh, we actually have quite a good bit of power that has been, you know, generated from our fission reactor. Okay, so we can break these now. These are the safeties. Let's take a look. Okay, so we need to let this reach up to 2 GFE before we can actually fire this laser amplifier. That's why I have, you know, so many of these lasers firing off into this for that simple reason. I could probably just let set this to normal, and this is also going to start charging up, so this way once this hits 1, it'll fire 1 into this one, and then that is going to fire right off into that. Let me go back. Actually, I'll wait until those things are sufficiently ready before I attach, well, I'll put it back in the hollow arm into this fusion reactor. So I'm gonna wait a little bit for this in order for this to max out, and then once that's completed, I'll be back. Some time has passed and I've accidentally let this accumulate too much of a charge. So let's actually fire off the first one right here. And then we're gonna tell it to ignore, no, not ignore, to go to normal mode, so this way it'll build back up the next charge. And now this is at 2 GFE. Now with that in mind, let's put the hollow arm inside of our fusion reactor. And let's let it fire. Then we can just shut this back off to put it back into normal, so it'll accumulate charge. And well, let's go into this. So now you can see after it's been fired, the plasma is quickly actually losing temperature. So we need to go into the fuel and actually up this rate. Let's put it at 5. Okay, it's gonna work in rounded figures. Let's see, slowed it down, but not enough. Let's change this to 6. Okay, that's actually increasing temperature. Okay, let's leave it at 4. Where is this thing? It's 4. So when I fired this up, I didn't realize it was nighttime, and I had made a whole section worrying about, you know, our tritium going down, little to realize that it was actually nighttime. Now that it's daytime, I can actually truly evaluate if our burn rate, which currently is 4, which is pretty low actually, but we can see over here that our deuterium, despite being constantly injected into our fusion reactor, it's going up. And if we take a look to our tritium over here, during the day, it's going to go up quite significantly at this current injection rate. Now, with this running, and our fission reactor above there running at a very slow burn rate, we are capable of generating, where is this? We are generating 2.8 MFE per tick, which is quite a good bit. And the best part is, this will constantly be running without us having to worry about, what if our tritium runs out, or what if our deuterium runs out, because during the day cycle our tritium is constantly going up, same for our deuterium. So this can basically be self-sufficient, and we don't have to worry about it ever shutting down. If it ever does shut down, all you have to do is basically make back another hull ram and insert another, and infuse it or give it DT fuel, and then fire back the laser. That's the only reason why I have these things like charging back up for next shot, if I ever somehow lose power to it. As for this, again, we are at a not a maximum burn rate, but at a steady state burn rate where we are not losing fissile fuel, but we are not gaining. So the machines that we are producing are constantly producing at that rate, and they are capable of holding this quantity of fissile fuel. Though again, because this is a fissile fuel reactor, it is going to be reliant on various amounts of resources which are finite, and we have to constantly keep generating or producing over there in our main base. So as a result, despite this being quite good, I personally don't necessarily think that this is an end game solution, because it's going to require finite resources, whereas the fusion reactor down below is kind of infinite, because, well, all you need to do is just set up these fusion these solar neutron activators, the electrolytic separators, which separate your heavy water into its components, and the solar neutron activators generate the tritium from liquid lithium, which again is basically infinite. So although this episode wasn't the episode where I geared up and started diving into draconic evolution, it's quite a good episode, because this showcases the two biggest power sources that you can get from Mechanism. The first being the fusion reactor, the fissile reactor, the fission reactor. I get these things mixed up for some reason. So it showcases the power of the fission reactor, but it also showcases the limitation of the fission reactor, because as you can see now, it's actually starting to go down, even though our burn rate is still 8. But that's fine. Once this runs out of fuel, because it uses finite resources, it will shut down, unfortunately. Whereas down below, the odds of this running out of fuel once you actually are sleeping is very slim, considering the fact that our injection, at this current injection rate, both of these fuels are actually gaining versus losing. And that results in us having quite a good bit of power stored up. The only catch is, since this is running, you're kind of always going to want to have, this actually having capacity to take the power that produces, which is probably the only side effect. Okay, so this episode may have been, not intended, may have been unnecessary for some, but for me it worked out, because again, I would not have to worry about power, because when I was actually crafting some of the things needed for draconic evolution, I quickly realized my base was running out of power, which was quite annoying. So thank you all for watching, and take care. Bye bye now.